Part 38. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 375. If he had a more tactful attitude, he would admit his mistake and kowtow when he saw that the situation was not good. He would just be beaten by Sutingyu, and then his property would be robbed, and his life would be saved at least. Of the original 8 overlords of the Purple Coral Forest, only 4 are left seriously disabled. Sutingyu confiscated all the belongings of the overlords. He spent another 2 days checking repeatedly and found many jewels, but the conch showed no reaction at all. Obviously, they were not the jewels he was really looking for. When Sutingyu planned to take a look deeper into the central area of the Purple Coral Forest, Ao Pakang strongly stopped him. "Benefactor, you can't go to the center of the Purple Coral Forest. I heard from the teacher that it's very weird. No living thing has ever been able to enter it. It either disappears inexplicably or keeps spinning in circles." "Are you sure no creature got inside?" Sutingyu asked back. "This," asked the 4 overlords. "They have been here all year round, so they must know it." Ao Pakang's mind turned around, and he was once again clever. Ao Pakang's suggestion is not unreasonable. Because it was also the first time for him to go out alone, the knowledge in his mind was limited to the teacher's teachings when he was in the Dragon Clan, and he had no personal experience. Sutingyu went directly to find one of the survivors of the original 8 overlords, a mountain-sized purple-skinned octopus. "Auntie, why are you here again?" When the octopus with only 3 tentacles left saw Sutingyu, he felt that the wounds on his body hurt even more, especially the wound where the other 5 tentacles were missing. The purple-skinned octopus was twice as big as the octopus Sutingyu had seen in the trapped beast before. It felt like one was at the level of a father and the other was at the level of a son. Among the 8 overlords, the purple octopus ranks in the top 3 in terms of strength. It is a true overlord-level marine creature. It's a pity that the purple-skinned octopus encountered Sutingyu. "Oh, I just came to ask about the situation in the central area of the Purple Coral Forest." Sutingyu explained the purpose of his visit. The purple-skinned octopus breathed a sigh of relief, then looked surprised. "You want to enter the central area? This hateful human race wants to die in the central area?" The purple-skinned octopus' little mind became active, and he secretly organized his words, thinking about how to trick Sutingyu into going in immediately. "No, I'm just asking, have any other marine creatures entered it in the past 200 years? Hearing this, a hint of hidden regret flashed in the purple-skinned octopus's eyes, and he spoke honestly. "Probably not. The Purple Coral Forest is a dangerous place to begin with, and few other creatures enter. Moreover, there is a mysterious force in the central area, which excludes all creatures from entering. Some even disappeared inside after forcing their way in. As time goes by, no creature has enough time to go to the central area." "Is that so?" Sutingyu rolled his eyes, and after finishing his question, Sutingyu left immediately. Sutingyu asked the other 3 overlords, and the answers they got were almost the same. After staying in the Purple Coral Forest for 4 days, Ao Pakang reminded Sutingyu that he was leaving for the Dragon Clan Crystal Palace. There are still a few days left for the birthday banquet. Taking into account the journey time to the Dragon Palace, the birthday banquet will almost start when we get to the destination. However, when he was about to step in, Ao Pakang suddenly remembered something. The Dragon Clan disliked the human clan very much. If Sutingyu went directly to the Dragon Palace, he would definitely be attacked by all the dragons from the Dragon Clan. Therefore, Sutingyu needs to disguise himself as other transformed sea creatures to attend the birthday banquet. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 376. What kind of sea creature is it disguised as? How to disguise? It became a new problem. Sutingyu simply called out all the 4 overlords to give her advice. Forced by Sutingyu's nuclear threat, the four overlords shamefully surrendered and helped the former determine the target of his disguise. The purple-skinned octopus suggested, "How about a turtle? Just put a turtle shell on it." "I have an empty turtle shell here, just put the head in it." The 8 overlords have a lot of collections in total, and some of them may not be particularly rare or precious, but are purely their own preferences. Aopakang took advantage of Sutingyu and took many precious treasures. As for the rest, all the rest were returned to their original owners. The purple-skinned octopus found the empty turtle shell and placed it in front of Sutingyu. He found that the turtle shell was too big and did not match Sutingyu's body shape at all. This disguise plan was rejected immediately. "How about disguising yourself as a flower demon?" Female flower demons are very common, and they will definitely not arouse suspicion. A fish monster whose body swelled up like a hot air balloon, with its belly exposed, said. The flower demons who can transform into shapes have gone to land to seduce human men. They are rarely encountered in the sea. The Aegean flower monster, who has been single for hundreds of years, shook his head. He was deeply touched by this. At this time, a small stream of electricity flashed out of the sea water. A 10-meter-long electric eel curled up and occasionally leaked electricity from its body. The other overlords also stayed away from him to avoid being electrocuted. "How about pretending to be a star lantern fish? I have seen this kind of fish. In addition to a goldfish scale on its face, there is also a light ball that looks like a small human bulb tied to its feet. It looks similar to the human race." The electric eel's voice was sinister. It was pitiful, just hearing it gave me a creepy feeling, but now he is honestly giving advice. "This is good, this is good." The purple-skinned octopus waved its remaining 3 tentacles. "I also have a few star lantern balls that accompany the star lantern fish here, because they are so beautiful, and they light up when it gets dark, and they can last for 100 years. After chattering for a while, Sutingyu felt that pretending to be a star lantern fish was a more reliable plan, so he made the decision. Next, is how to disguise. The purple-skinned octopus found several star lantern balls and asked Sutingyu to choose a suitable one. The bellyfish monster and the electric eel slipped out of the purple coral forest and went to the nearest star lantern fish colony. The star lantern fish itself has no attacks. Their only advantages are that they can glow in the dark, and the meat is not delicious and has a bitter and sour taste. However, any hunter with some taste or picky eaters, as long as they are not about to starve to death, will they all look down on the star lantern fish. After some threats and intimidation, the bellyfish monster and the electric eel successfully extorted a bunch of star lantern fish scales. After returning to the purple coral forest, this pile of fish scales was also placed in front of Sutingyu. Sutingyu picked out a suitable fish scale, and the Aegean Hawaiian monster took out the sticky floral essence that is special in its territory and applied a shallow layer on the back of the fish scale. Sutingyu put it on the right side of his face and poked it a few times with his fingers to make sure it was firm. Sutingyu took off his shoes and socks, and put a star lantern ball on his ankles. There was no need to change the waterproof clothes on his body, because the transformed sea creatures also wear clothes, but their clothes are made by themselves, similar to the human race of clothing. Although most marine creatures hate humans, they are very keen to understand the products of civilization created by humans. Human clothing is one of them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 377. After repeatedly confirming that it was correct, Sutingyu and Aopakang no longer wasted time. It was time to set off for the Dragon Palace. In this regard, the 4 overlords expressed their sadness and reluctance, with tears of sorrow in their eyes. If you can ignore the words of the 4 overlords who enthusiastically and proactively helped Sutingyu with his plans after learning that Sutingyu was leaving. Finally, the four overlords thoughtfully captured a chasing fish known for its speed and physical strength, and used it as a mount for Sutingyu. By Wawa, by Three Claws, by Snake, by Ball, Sutingyu, who was sitting on chasing fish, waved goodbye to the four overlords with a very reluctant look on his face. The purple-skinned octopus waved its three tentacles, "Bye, Auntie." The usually gloomy electric eel couldn't help but say excitedly, "Have a smooth journey." The flower rock monster in the underworld twisted its slender branches, "Remember to play a little longer, the dragon palace is very big and fun." The chasing fish started to swim, and it swam away in a flash. In the distance, Sutingyu's last voice floated, "If I have time, I will come back to see you." "Okay, okay." The bellyfish monster subconsciously agreed. The next second, he suddenly felt that the temperature around him suddenly dropped, and it was still cool. The bellyfish monster turned around and looked around. Suddenly, he saw the angry and frantic expressions of the other three overlords. What's wrong?" The bellyfish monster was a little confused. "Haha, what a fart. Did your head really get damaged by that demon? Electric eel, shock him. Make him wake up." The three overlords swarmed up and each used their own methods to beat up the bellyfish monster. No. I made a mistake. It was a mistake." The bellyfish monster only reacted at this time, and he wanted to slap himself a few times, but it was not the turn of these three guys to teach him a lesson. They are all the overlords of the purple coral forest. Over the years, there have been frictions and grievances between them. Now, the bellyfish monster made a mistake, which gave the other three overlords an excuse to beat him. Wow, I'm angry. Damn it. The bellyfish monster inhaled fiercely, and its elastic body bounced back all the physical attacks of the three overlords. Now that Sutingyu had left and no one was restraining them, the four overlords simply started fighting. At first it was 3 against 1, but later the temporary alliance of the three overlords also collapsed and turned into a chaotic war. Without the other 4 overlords, the territory in the purple coral forest should be redivided. And how to divide it depends on who is stronger. Although the purple coral forest is a dangerous area, there are also many marine creatures who are eager to get rich overnight. In a place near the purple coral forest among the rocks, a turtle-like marine creature crawled out slowly. The turtle monster yawned and said sleepily, "Huh? It's dawn? It's time to set off." In fact, the turtle monster arrived half a month ago, but he was too tired at the time and couldn't help but find a place to sleep. As a result, he slept for half a month. But now the turtle monster thought it was just the next morning. The turtle shook his shell and became energetic. He crawled toward the purple coral forest with pride, muttering, "Talita, I am the most brave and capable turtle warrior in the tribe. I will definitely find the most precious treasure. I'm here to marry you." The turtle monster emboldened himself and sneaked into the purple coral forest. By coincidence, he entered the original territory of the tree monster. After being nervous for a few hours, the turtle found that he was not in any big danger, and he couldn't help but feel a little confused. "It's strange, didn't you say it's dangerous here? Being a bug in a survival game." Author, Kuanke. Chapter 378. After fighting for 3 days and 3 nights, no one of the 4 overlords could defeat the other 3, so they could only make a temporary truce. "If there's no fighting, can't we each get a new territory?" Yes, anyway, our treasures have been looted a lot by that demon, not to mention the other 4 dead guys." "I agree." "Agree." After the truce, the tension between the 4 overlords became much less intense, but they were still on guard against each other. After all, they have been neighbors for hundreds or even thousands of years, and they are both experienced, and they only know a lot more about each other's dangers. It was only with Sutingyu here that he could feel peaceful for a while. "Hey, tell me, how did this human race get into the sea?" And it seems that he is not afraid of being unable to breathe in the sea at all. During the break, the purple-skinned octopus found a topic to talk about. Bellyfish monster, I'm also curious about this. Could it be some kind of spell cast by a witch? The electric eel was almost exhausted. Not even a drop of electricity was left. He had no intention of pretending to be gloomy. He said in a rough voice, "Did you notice that the human race's body surface did not touch the sea water at all? It seemed to be separated by some force. She didn't blow bubbles when she breathed." You might have overlooked all the weird things about Sutinyu at first, but you can almost see Sutinyu these days. As the overlord of the purple coral forest, no one is really a fool. Of course, these strange things have been discovered. However, due to Sutinyu's presence, the four overlords pretended not to see it. Only the stupid Ao Pakang didn't notice. That human demon is so shameless. These days, she keeps asking us to praise her. Even so, you don't even know what you are. By the way, she also has a conch hanging on her body. She feels a bit like a product of the mermaid kingdom. She went to the dragon clan, right? And she went there with a conch that seemed to be from the mermaid kingdom. The four overlords simultaneously thought of the dragon clan's aversion to mermaids, and all of them laughed sinisterly. "Did you really just discover it now?" the bellyfish monster asked. Of course, the purple-skinned octopus replied without thinking. "Me too. Hee hee, me too." The four old yinbai burst into laughter for a moment, not worried about Sutinyu at all. Venado Islands, Gudong Main Island, in a rented house somewhere in the Imperial City. Several players gathered together and were very distressed. "It's been several days, but I still haven't found any trace of the orb. The Imperial City is so big that I have visited almost all of it, but Conch didn't respond at all." Some players suddenly thought of a place. "No, there is a place we haven't gone to yet." "Which place? Are you talking about the palace?" "That's right, it's the palace. Humans here, especially the upper class, are particularly fond of jewelry and other wealth, and they even have collections. There must be a lot of jewelry in the palace. There may be conch orbs that the famous people are looking for. When are we going to act?" "Just tonight, sneak in quietly. When the time comes, don't worry about the props and not use them. They are just a few props, not as good as a profession." That night, at 3 o'clock, the peaceful palace suddenly became heavily guarded, and groups of royal knights searched inside the palace. "Hurry up, stop inking. Mater, there is actually some mage guarding him, get out of the city and hide for a while." In a short time, there were many more soldiers on the streets of the entire imperial city. They knocked and kicked the doors violently at each house. After the door was opened, they entered the house and searched without saying a word. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 379. After 3 days of traveling, Sutinyu and Ao Pakang entered the Dragon Clan's sphere of influence. Halfway through, Sutinyu kept talking to Ao Pakang, and by the way, he also found out the latter's identity as His Highness the Dragon Clan. When Sutinyu learned about it, he didn't believe it the first time. "Your Highness, the Dragon Clan, is he so silly and sweet?" After entering the Dragon Clan's territory, he encountered many Dragon Clan guards investigating him. After Ao Pakang revealed his identity, he was let in. "Benefactor, when you see my father and teacher later, remember to praise me." As he got closer to the Dragon Palace, Ao Pakang's initial excitement of setting off in the purple coral forest completely disappeared, and he felt very uneasy in his heart. Sutinyu rolled his eyes. Ao Pakang didn't know how many times he said these words along the way. I know. I must tell you your heroic deeds in the purple coral forest, about how you outsmarted the tree demon and punched the fish monster," Sutinyu replied for the nth time. Ahem. Ao Pakang blushed slightly when he heard this, but did not refute. Just bragging, it should be fine. At this time, Dragon Palace, somewhere in a side hall. Huh? The little guy is willing to come back. After a strong male voice sounded, within 2 seconds, a stream of light flew out of the palace and rushed out of the Dragon Palace. Benefactor, ahead is the Dragon Palace. Ao Pokang pointed to the extremely majestic and glorious palace ahead with a slightly proud expression. Sutingyu glanced around and saw fish shadows surging outside the Dragon Palace. At the Dragon King's birthday banquet, the Dragon Clan entertained all kinds of marine creatures. Today's Dragon Palace is very lively. Shall we go directly to the gate? Sutingyu asked. No, Benefactor, I will take you to the trail. The gate is too eye-catching. Ao Pokang patted the tail of the chasing fish, and the latter immediately slipped away. Sutingyu, oh. When one man and one dragon were about to leave, a frivolous voice suddenly sounded from above. Little guy, are you finally willing to come back? Who? Sutingyu's eyes narrowed, looking for the source of the sound, and turned to look. A stream of light fell on the stone road not far ahead. After the light dissipated, a figure was revealed. In appearance, he is no different from an ordinary human man. He can even be said to be suave and handsome, but he also has dragon horns on his forehead. This is a dragon. Old, teacher. Ao Pokang looked at the man who suddenly appeared in shock and fear. His posture subconsciously became upright, looking well-behaved and honest. You, why are you here? Ao Fija raised his eyebrows slightly. Tisk, you came back so arrogantly, the sentries along the way have already sent the news to me. Ah, Ao Pokang really didn't consider this, and looked worried. Father, does he know about it too? That's not true. I suppressed the news. Hearing this, just when Ao Pokang was about to breathe a sigh of relief, he heard Ao Fija continue to say. So, you still have time to think about your words. How can you calm down the Dragon King? Ah! Father, is he angry? Ao Pokang was about to cry without tears, and even had the urge to turn around and run away immediately. Nonsense, the son he always thought was the most well-behaved and sensible ran away from home. How can he not be angry? Ao Fija scolded Ao Pokang, but his tone was more of gloating. Ao Fija's eyes turned and landed on Sutingyu, who was watching the show. By the way, this is the friend you met outside. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 380. Yes, she is a friend I just met. Her name is Sutingting. Ao Pokang responded quickly. Sutingyu showed a shy smile. Hello. Tisk, that's a fake smile. Ao Fija glanced at Sutingyu and said this casually. Sutingyu's face suddenly stiffened. Ah, why doesn't this dragon follow the routine? Teacher, this is really my friend. You can't be so rude to my friend. Ao Pokang looked at Sutingyu nervously, fearing that the latter would be angry. Ha, this silly boy is a bit stupid. I never let him go out before because I was afraid that he would be sold. So I helped count the money with a smile. Ao Fija suddenly said a lot of words, all of which were to dislike Ao Pokang. He changed the topic and his eyes gradually turned cold. Give you a chance, leave now, I don't care. Teacher, you, stop joking, don't scare my friend. Ao Pokang looked confused and surprised. He didn't understand why the always kind teacher suddenly changed his face. Sutingyu frowned slightly. Ao Pokang said that his teacher loved to joke and entertain him, but now, it doesn't seem like it, right? Silly boy, can't you see that your so-called friend has something to do with mermaids? Aophija pointed at the conch hanging on Sotinyu's chest and said in a cold tone, "In the dragon clan's territory, no mermaids are welcome to get close to each other. If a mermaid creature approaches, I'll leave on my own while I still have the patience and sense to do so." Mermaid, Aopokang blinked in confusion. Isn't the benefactor a human race? Why are you getting involved with mermaids again? Sotinyu lowered his head and glanced at his conch, feeling suddenly enlightened. Just this thing made Aopokang's teacher think she was related to the mermaid. No, she is not a mermaid, she is a star lanternfish. After being reminded by Aophija, Aopokang discovered that Sotinyu's conch was very much like a mermaid. However, Aopokang knew better that mermaids disliked human beings. No matter what the origin of Sotinyu's conch was, there was no way she would be related to mermaids. Ahem, Sotinyu was just about to follow Aopokang's line when he caught sight of a conch out of the corner of his eye. This thing, because Aopokang sincerely praised her for being friendly, it lit up her friendly qualities. If she lies now, will she lose her integrity? Sotinyu was in a dilemma. Aophija's tone was aggressive. What? Have you got nothing to say? This conch is indeed related to mermaids, Sotinyu admitted without changing his expression. Hearing this, Aopokang looked confused. The benefactor is a human race, how come he is related to the mermaid? You know that the dragon clan doesn't want to see mermaids, right? Then you used this silly boy to enter the dragon clan's territory. What you want, heh, it's still the same after 200 years. Aophija's eyes were sarcastic and unusually cold. Alas. Sotinyu sighed softly, this conch was just picked up by me. In fact, it has little to do with mermaids. Moreover, I am a human, not a fish. I have nothing to do with mermaids in the first place. The conch on Sotinyu's chest flashed with green light. She glanced at it from the corner of her eye and breathed a sigh of relief. What a risk, I almost lost my integrity. Fortunately, this fairy is smart. Aophija stretched out his hand, opened his palm, and a long knife flew out of his storage bag. Holding the handle of the knife in his hand, the blade pointed at Sotinyu. Without saying a word, he struck at Sotinyu with his sword as fast as lightning. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 381. I'm really not a mermaid, Sotinyu shouted helplessly, holding his right hand empty, and the death blade appeared in his hand. He raised his knife to block, and the impact force forced Sotinyu's body to fall continuously. Aophija put away the knife, and in a flash, he suddenly appeared behind Sotinyu, the blade of the long knife in his hand pointed directly at the latter's neck. The chill came after him. Sotinyu quickly adjusted the thrust direction of his belt, turning from back to front, and his body instantly swam upwards. Immediately afterwards, Sotinyu quickly turned around and blocked the long knife with his horizontal knife. Aophija's eyes narrowed slightly. He glanced at Sotinyu's weapon and found that it was not the trident commonly used by mermaids. He sneered, even the weapon has been changed. It looks like it. You, stop fighting, Aopokang shouted anxiously, teacher. Teacher. She saved my life in the purple coral forest. She is a good person, and she is definitely not a bad person. Fish. Aophija remained unmoved and continued to press and beat Sotinyu. Sotinyu was almost beaten several times. Such a powerful dragon always likes to play dirty tricks. You're stupid, aren't you? You really think I have lost my temper? Being suppressed and beaten by the dragon, Sotinyu was also filled with anger, but as soon as he turned his face, he turned towards the death blade in his hand and said miserably, "Man, he bullies me, you just have to deal with it." As soon as he finished speaking, the blade of the death blade condensed a light of dark blood, revealing the coldness of the underworld. Aophija frowned, this aura. There seems to be something wrong with this weapon. This is not a power that sea creatures can have. You are not Star Lanternfish, who are you? At this time, Aophija's expression gradually calmed down, but his wariness towards Sutinyu only increased. I'm definitely not. Sutinyu took off the Star Lanternfish scales from his face and said, I am a human, not a fish. Human race. Aophija looked at Sutinyu again. Human race cannot enter the sea, you. Aophija suddenly discovered that the sea water around Sutinyu did not seem to touch her body surface. Look, it seems to be separated by some kind of transparent film. A witch's ability? Sutinyu was not surprised when something was wrong. Although the water-avoiding beads could avoid water, the disadvantage was that they were a little conspicuous. Ahem, actually. Sutinyu held her head high and said in an arrogant tone, I am the legendary brave man. This conch is a token. I came to the Dragon Palace to find the heart of a brave man. A brave man? The heart of a brave man. Aophija looked dubious. Are you sure you are not helping the mermaid find the orb? Ahem, by the way, I'm looking for the orb. Sutinyu cursed secretly. Don't believe it? Ask Aopokang, he has seen my conch glow, Sutinyu said. Aophija turned his head and looked at Aopokang. Ah, yes, yes, it shined in the purple coral forest. It was pink light, Aopokang replied quickly. Do you know the 8 qualities of a brave man? Naturally, Sutinyu spoke out the 8 qualities quickly. On the side, Aopokang listened and felt a little familiar. Teacher, my benefactor, she is definitely not a bad person. Aophija stared at Sutinyu and suddenly remembered that when the latter confessed just now, the conch was also glowing. Aophija frowned, feeling very puzzled. The legendary brave man actually exists? Although Aophija has never seen a brave man, the ancestral training of the Dragon Clan also talks about brave men. There is no problem with the character of a creature that can become a hero. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 382. Although Sutinyu's origin was unknown, Aophija also had some concerns because of his status as a brave man. After all, the ancestral training of the Dragon Clan clearly stipulates that members of the Dragon Clan must not be rude to the brave. Teacher, please stop fighting, okay, Aopokang shouted when he saw Aophija withdrew his weapon. Aophija glanced at Aopokang, then turned to look at Sutinyu again. Since I am a brave man, I don't think I will join the mermaid clan. I'm sorry, but I am sensitive. Seeing this, Sutinyu also retracted the death blade and muttered, I told you, I'm not a mermaid. At most, it's just related to the mermaid. She didn't lie. But, if Sutinyu knew that the title of brave was so useful, he should have used it from the beginning. Suyang, on behalf of the Dragon Clan, I welcome your arrival, please. Aophija pointed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Okay, Sutinyu responded with a smile on his face, not at all the same attitude as before of being embarrassed and wanting to kill the dragon. What are you standing there for? Let's go in. Aophija glanced at Aopokang, who was stunned. Oh. Aopokang scratched his head and followed the other person. He was confused in his heart. The complicated world of adults is really difficult to understand. He was tense a second ago, but now he is amiable and calm. With Aophija leading the way, Sutinyu entered the Dragon Palace directly without checking at the entrance of the Dragon Palace. Xiao Kang, you take Suyang to your palace first, and I will report to the Dragon King first. Oh, okay, teacher. After coming in, Aophija gave an explanation and left. The brave man suddenly appeared, and Aophija felt the need to mention it to the Dragon King. Aopokang took Sutinyu for a walk in the Dragon Palace. After a while, the former couldn't help but said, My benefactor, you are actually a brave man. This. When Sutinyu heard this, He tilted his head. You Dragon Clan also know about brave men. Of course. The brave man is the messenger of the Poseidon and represents the will of the Poseidon. In mythology, whenever a brave man comes to the world, it means that something big will happen, Ao Pakang said with excitement. Event. The survival problem of saving the Mermaid Kingdom. Is this a big deal? Sutingyu always felt a little weird. She is obviously in the Mermaid Kingdom, eavesdropping on the conversation between the Mermaid Queen and the Mermaid Elder. These two fish clearly know that the player's identity as a hero is fake. Sutingyu originally thought that he was a brave man, but he was just a brave man from the Mermaid Kingdom, or he was directed and acted by the Mermaid Queen and others. But now, I discovered that even the Dragon Clan has legends about brave men. In addition, the main tasks of this round of dungeons are step by step and seem very clear, but in fact, they are like a fog that requires players to clear away bit by bit. The latest main mission is still to find the heart of the brave, and there is no mention of the mission to save the mermaid at all. Now the mission of finding the heart of the brave has illuminated two qualities, and we can only wait to complete the current mission. Benefactor. Benefactor. In his ears, Ao Pakang's doubtful voice sounded. Sutingyu came back to his senses, blinked his big eyes, and asked, "What's wrong?" "Benefactor, why were you distracted just now?" "I just want to ask, as a brave man, have you ever seen Poseidon? Is Lord Poseidon particularly mighty and domineering, isn't it?" Ao Pakang chattered all the way, and Sutingyu took the myths and legends in the real world and combined them with some information learned in the Mermaid Kingdom to fool Ao Pakang. Soon, one person and one dragon arrived at the destination. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 383. After returning to his own territory, Ao Pakang felt much more at ease and entertained Sutingyu very warmly. "Benefactor, do you want to eat some food? Our dragon clan has a lot of delicacies, you will definitely like it. By the way, do you want to visit the Dragon Palace now? I know there are several places with particularly beautiful scenery." No, Sutingyu was a little helpless. This silly dragon had forgotten that she was a human being. Eating raw food from the sea would cause diarrhea. As for visiting the Dragon Palace, it was just a reason Sutingyu mentioned casually before. "I'm still here, waiting for your father to come. By the way, have you figured out how to explain that you ran away from home?" Sutingyu asked. I. Ao Pakang, whose face was full of excitement, collapsed instantly, and he lowered his head in depression to think of a reason. After Urgenza was finally quiet for a while, Sutingyu suddenly remembered something and asked Ao Pakang, "How much do you know about the grudges between the Dragon Clan and the Mermaid?" Benefactor, you ask this?" Ao Pakang raised his head, his eyes were confused for a moment, and replied, "I know a little bit. It seems that because one of my brothers had a grudge with the mermaid, the entire dragon clan unanimously opened up to the outside world, and the same don't like mermaids." "Can you be more specific?" Sutingyu asked expectantly. Ao Pakang shook his head, "I don't know." "Then is your brother still in the dragon clan?" "Yes, but he lives in seclusion. I have only met him once, and I have even forgotten what he looks like." Sutingyu asked some other questions one after another, but Ao Pakang knew very little and could not ask for any key information. As for the dragon prince who had a grudge against the mermaid, Sutingyu wondered if she should find a chance to go find him. However, the most important thing now is how to fool the coming Dragon King into believing that he is a brave man and has no ill intentions towards the Dragon clan. Sutingyu muttered to himself, "This is only an 8-star dungeon, and the NPCs here are very difficult to fool. Of course, except for a certain bastard dragon. Ao Pokang, who always answered questions, would have never imagined that the benefactor he respected and even admired would actually slander him in his heart. From Ao Pokang's words, Sutingyu also had a general understanding of the Dragon King of the Dragon Clan. The name of the current Dragon King of the Dragon Clan is Ao Fili. He holds the power of the Dragon Clan. He is the most powerful Dragon King of the Dragon Clan so far. In the Dragon Clan, he is the unshakable master. Very few dragons dare to disobey the Dragon King's will. Well, this crybaby dragon is one of the few exceptions. He sneaked out with his Dragon King father on his back. After a while, Ao Fiju and a middle-aged handsome uncle swam into the hall. Seeing this, Sutingyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Oh haha. It seems that the Dragon King in this round of copies looks a bit different. He is nothing like the old Dragon King in Journey to the West in the real world. When Ao Pokang saw the latter, he knelt on the ground subconsciously and kowtowed angrily, "Son, please see your father. May your father be safe." Well, the Dragon King didn't even glance at his son. His eyes fell directly on Sutingyu, and a steady and powerful voice came, "Are you a brave man?" Just by asking the question, without any obvious pressure, Sutingyu felt a sense of intimidation as heavy as a mountain. Sutingyu's expression remained as usual. He slightly raised the corners of his lips and admitted generously, "Yes, I am a brave man. What do you think?" Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 384. Since you are the brave man, please follow me to a place. The Dragon King did not continue to be aggressive, but changed the subject. Sutingyu tilted his head. "Where?" The Dragon King said calmly, "In the Dragon Clan, there are places where legends about brave men are recorded. I think you will be interested in it." Then, okay then. Sutingyu thought for a second and then agreed. Although he wasn't very clear about the Dragon King's intentions, Sutingyu wanted to find out what the brave thing was. Previously in the Mermaid Kingdom, when Sutingyu discovered that the Mermaid Queen and the Mermaid Elder were still trying to take advantage of the players even though they knew they were not brave men, Sutingyu was dubious about the mermaid's words. "Suyang, please come this way." Ao Fiju turned sideways and pointed in a direction outside the door. Seeing this, Sutingyu swam over. Ao Pokang, who was kneeling on the ground, saw that Sutingyu was leaving, so he subconsciously stood up and wanted to follow him. As a result, the Dragon King suddenly gave him a majestic look, and Ao Pokang was so frightened that he knelt back and did not dare to move. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes without thinking and decided to ignore Ao Pokang's pitiful eyes for the time being. After all, this is a family matter. As an outsider, it's not easy for her to interfere. After leaving Ao Pokang's palace residence, Sutingyu followed the Dragon King and Ao Fiju, taking many detours along the way. At the beginning, we could still see those foreign creatures who came into the Dragon Palace for the birthday banquet. Slowly, Sutingyu felt that the number of dragon guards nearby increased a lot, and there was not much lively noise. Finally, Sutingyu followed the two dragons and entered a remote and inconspicuous small palace. But underneath this ordinary palace, there is a huge naturally formed cave. Halfway through, perhaps to prevent Sutingyu from getting too bored, Ao Fiju took the initiative to find a topic to talk about. For example, how did I meet Ao Pokang? For example, how many of the 8 qualities of a brave man did Sutingyu possess? For example, is Sutingyu the only hero coming this time? Where have the other heroes gone? For example. As long as it didn't involve secrets, Sutingyu would answer them one by one. Sutingyu knew very well that the Dragon Clan did not fully believe in her status as a warrior, and not everyone was as easy to fool as Ao Pokang. After all, even she herself became a hero in a daze. But once he couldn't explain it clearly, just based on the conch Sutingyu was wearing, the Dragon Clan would definitely turn against him immediately. With the arrival of the brave men, will anything big happen to the ocean world? Aofiju asked in a polite tone. I also want to know, why does this brave man feel like a disaster star? Something big will happen when he comes. Sutingyu complained silently in his heart, pretending to be mysterious on his face. Don't let the secrets of heaven be revealed. What is supposed to come will always come. The secret of heaven can't be leaked. Aofiju murmured the sentence several times, feeling that this sentence seemed to contain some kind of wonderful fantasy color. Sutingyu secretly glanced at Aofiju and felt relieved when he saw that he seemed to have been fooled. We're here at this time. Aofiju looked forward and said. The Dragon King swimming at the front has stopped. Sutingyu turned around and looked. Less than a few meters away in front of him, a huge stone cave was dug out, and a larger space seemed to be carved out in the innermost part.